welcome to the day 28 of our UGC-NET Paper I, and from today onwards we are entering the new unit, that is Unit 6, which is logical reasoning. So as per our previous agreement, one is numerical, one is theory. Actually technically this itself is not numerical, still it somewhat comes under solving skills, so that's why I placed like that. So in that we are going to see the first two topics, that is understanding the structure of arguments, where argument forms, and structure of categorical propositions. These two topics we will cover today. So that's all. This is the full syllabus of logical reasoning, that unit alone. So here today we are going to see the first two topics. So before entering here we are in the syllabus, we are talking about arguments, but before entering the argument you have to have a understanding of a statement. So a statement could be an argument, but it may or may not be argument, but an argument necessarily, definitely a statement. So here statements are what is said. So here, on more accurately, statements are the things that are said that are either true or false. So a statement could either be true or false. They are also called as claims. I am claiming that this statement is false. I am claiming that that is my birthright. Like that we are claiming, no? So we are claiming factual or any thing to be either true or false. So here one example is that the homicide rate in England was 50 times higher in the 14th century than it is today. Next, here the another is Neptune has the fastest winds in the solar system. So here are the two statements. So both of these statements happen to be true because it has been measured and they have found out that both of these statements are true. So a statement that is especially important to us, it could be called as proposition, assertion, judgment, and here our own research work oriented hypothesis. So we are framing a hypothesis, we are testing it to be either true or false. In research oriented terms, either accepted or rejected. So next, principle, thesis, or in some situations ELA. So all this comes from the another format of a statement. So statements have to be capable of being true or false. So you can understand here hypothesis itself, because when we form a hypothesis, we tend to identify the true or false in the hypothesis. So it should be verifiable. If it is not verifiable, then that hypothesis is it is not a proper hypothesis. It is it would be void. So even if we don't know which, we might not know that, but it should be verifiable. So if you say, is it midnight, then you have not made a statement. You are asking a question here. So, and any suggestions or commands or proposals or statements either. So let's go for a coffee, let's go for a break. So those are suggestions. Those statements could not be, those lines could not be statements. Next, don't close the door, or sleep at early in the midnight, or something like that. We are commanding. Commands also does not come under statement, and other proposals also. So these are the statement criteria or properties of the statement. So now comes the argument. So argument is a set of statements. So like I said, any statement may or may not be argument, but an argument must definitely be a statement. Here that also a set of statements. That means more than one statement or forms an argument. So one of which is conclusion is taken to be supported by the remaining statement, the premises. So here, see, mostly three statements in an argument, three statements will be there. Two would be premises and the third one would be conclusion. So it takes only one person to have our kind of argument, not two. See here, commonly argument abdina, we will think that arguing between two peoples, but here that argument is not applicable here. That is different. Here it is different. So this type of argument in logical reasoning, it just need only one person to form that argument, need not to have two. So saying that two people are in an argument means there are two arguments, not one in our sense of argument. So each of the two persons has his or her own argument. So in short, our word argument is a technical term with a more precise meaning than it has in the ordinary conversation. So like I said, we are having an argument. So that is different from the argument in logical reasoning. So this is different, that is different. So statements that serve as reasons in an argument are also called premises. Any, like I said, so any argument must have one or more premises, and it will have one or more inference steps. Like from a statement or from a premise, you are inferring, you are deducting, or you are assuming something. See here, deducting, assuming, inferring, all seems to point out a similar meaning, but technically assuming, the word assumption is that you don't have a logical proof for the acceptance of any statement or concept. So you are assuming on your own basis, that is assumption. Next, deduction. So deduction solely rely on the presentable, visible facts. So I am selected for the exam based on my marks. So I have a mark sheet. Other than that, how good I have written in the exam or what mode I have written, those things are not required. But inference is the hidden meaning present in a statement, where based on the, either based on the facts or assumption, whatever, there is a hidden meaning in a statement. You are calculating or identifying the hidden meaning in the statement. That identifying process is known as inferring. So here, when you have one or more premises, you have one or more inference steps taking you from the premises to the conclusion. The simplest arguments have just one step, that is one premise and one conclusion. That's all. So this is the argument. Now comes the forms of argument. So there are three types, three forms of argument. One is deductive, that is you are deducing based on the facts available. You are concluding, which is coming in a narrow down form. Next is inductive, and third one is abductive. So we will be seeing in the next slides what is what. So first is deductive argument. So a deductive argument is a line of reasoning for which the conclusion must be true if its premises are true. So conclusion follows the truth of the premises logically. Like I said, you have to follow the facts sequentially. So here they have given example, all apples are bananas. So that is the first premise. And all bananas are fruits. So here, since already bananas are apples are bananas, again then apples, all apples are fruits. That's the conclusion here. So all apples are bananas, all bananas are fruits. Now this automatically deducted to all apples are fruits. So that's how the conclusion is formed. So therefore an argument is valid in the event it does not lead to a false conclusion from the true premises. So here that's how it is formed. This is the deductive argument. Your first one statement is given, based on that you are deducting one thing. Next, again that second statement is again deducted. So here, see here, all apples are bananas, all bananas are fruits. So that means all apples are fruits. That's how the conclusion is being arrived at here. Next is inductive argument. So it is a structure of argument where there are several cases of certain patterns, and the conclusion states that this pattern will hold in general as well. See here, for the example, we have seen 1000 monkeys. All of them were black. So conclusion could be all monkeys are black. So what is the deductive conclusion? Based on this two statement alone, we could say that all monkeys are black. But what is the reality? All monkeys cannot be black. So this does not mean that all monkeys are black, but this is the case of inductive reasoning. We have drawn a conclusion based on the validity of the premises that monkeys are black in color only, which might not be necessarily true. So they have seen 1000 monkeys. So other than these 1000 monkeys, there could be other monkeys also there, and they could be in different colors also. But here they are arriving at the certain conclusion. So this is the inductive argument, inductive statement or argument. So inductive statement is not valid deductively, because a certain pattern does not guarantee that all the cases will appear to be the same. So that is how inductive argument is there. So we are generalizing so many things. If a rural student is coming, he might have a very dull education background. So we are assuming, but that could not be true. Even a rural background children could be more educationally qualified. Next is abductive argument. See here, the structure of the argument is abductive when the argument points towards the truthfulness of a fact. Then it states that if a hypothesis were true, we would get this fact. So we further draw the conclusion that the hypothesis is true. So hypothesis, let me explain with the example. See here, these plants conduct photosynthesis. Next, if the plants are green in color, hypothesis, then they would conduct photosynthesis. Prediction. See here, photosynthesis would happen only if the plants are in green. Wherever the plants are green, their photosynthesis is happening. That is the common thing. So here they have found that these plants conduct photosynthesis. They are showing up certain plants, and they are identifying that those plants are conducting photosynthesis. Next, they are forming a statement. If the plants are green in color, this is a generalized statement, then they would conduct photosynthesis. So the conclusion would be the plants are green in color. That's how they are arriving. So first they are stating a fixed, well-known fact. So truthfulness of a fact. Then based on that, they are forming a statement or hypothesis, and if the hypothesis were true, then we would get this fact. Like that they are forming. So based on the hypothesis, we are arriving at the conclusion. So these are the three different arguments, that is deductive argument, inductive argument, and then abductive argument. Now moving on to categorical proposition. So categorical proposition is one stating or denying a relationship between two categories or classes. So when two things are subjected or delivered, we are analyzing and rejecting it. So it is typically something that has a subject and a predicate. So I don't know whether you guys remember or not. In our first and second grade classes, we might have learnt in English that subject predicate, that is, a subject is the person of interest or the object of interest, and predicate is the remaining statement which tells about the subject. So that is English, basic English grammar. Here that applies the same. So here any statement would have one subject and one predicate. So it speaks to the membership of all, some or no members of the subject class belonging to the predicate class. So considering these features, there are two conditions for categorizing the categorical propositions, which are quantity universal or particular, and quality affirmative or negative, and form the basis of logical reasoning. See here, let me go on in the next slides, I will explain. So they have shown, like I said, one is subject, one is predicate. and that is linked with the copula or copula. So here the linking verb are, is, are the copula. So there are four things or four elements must present in a categorical proposition. So first is subject. The subject of a categorical proposition is the term which names a class or category. So if we are talking about us, so we are the subject. It names the set of objects or persons to whom the statement applies, and it typically appears at the front of the proposition, such as all dogs are mammals. So here all dogs is the subject, R is the copula, mammals is the predicate. So predicate is the term that gives expression to what you are trying to say about the subject. So it identifies the class or category that is being predicated about the subject. So all dogs are mammals, like I said, no, all dogs are subjects, R is the copula, mammals is the predicate. Next is copula. So copula is the linking verb. Usually R is in logical reasoning only maximum these two words only will be available. Other than that, very rare cases some other verbs might be appearing. So here R or is that connects the subject to the predicate. It can either a positive affirmation that the subject belongs to the class of predicates, or a negative assertion that it does not belong. So here in the previous slide, all dogs are mammals. So here positive affirmation. If no is replaced by all, all is replaced by no, so then no dogs are mammals. That means it is a negative affirmation. So negative assertion or negative affirmation, so that it does not belong to the class. Next comes the quantifier. The quantifier specifies whether the proposition refers to all, some or none. So like I said, all members, some members, no members. These three words only will be repeatedly comes under the statements. So it thereby indicates whether the statement to be formulated is universally quantified. So we are quantifying, is it acceptable to, as a whole, not just one element or two element. So here for example, all A or B, and particular for example some A or B. So here all means complete, some means either half or less than complete. So the quantifier is thus an important characteristic for distinguishing the scope of the proposition. So all cats are mammals, all is the quantifier, and as a whole all cats is the subject, R is copula, mammals is predicate. So this is the structure of categorical proposition. So properties, see here, for a categorical proposition these four properties must be there. First is quantity. So how many, either all or some or no, these three are quantity. And as per the quality, they are designating or deriving at a certain element to the or through the predicate to the subject. So there it is known as quality. And then relation. What is the relation between the first premise and second premise, or the subject and predicate? So that thing is should be available. Next is distribution. So how it is distributed? So whether it is distributed to the whole population or some of the population or none of the population. So like I said, all these are the four properties of the categorical proposition. Whenever a categorical proposition occurs, these four properties should be there. So next comes the types of categorical proposition. See here, only these four types. In simple, I think in the upcoming class we will be seeing Venn diagrams, but in the earlier numerical itself, through syllogism, I have told you guys about the Venn diagrams. I hope you guys remember that. So universally affirmative, universally negative. Next, particular affirmative, particular negative. That's all. So here affirmative, universal affirmative is denoted by A, universal negative denoted by E, and particular affirmative denoted by I, particular negative denoted by O. So we will be seeing each in the upcoming slides. So first is universal affirmative. So this means that the proposition considers the entire class and affirms the overlap of the classes. So assume now remember the Venn diagram I told you. So there is one circle. Over the that circle another one circle is drawn. So the above circle covers entirely or overlaps entirely the inner circle. So that means when A is the inner circle, B is the exterior circle, so B overlaps the A. That means here this statement affirms the overlap of the classes. So here every element of the member of the subject class is also a member of the predicate class. So the structure of this proposition is all S is P. So where S is subject, P is the predicate. So for example, all cats are mammals. Like I said, all. So that is universal affirmative, that is denoted by A. Again, same universal negative means here both circles are separated. They does not even intersect also. That means two different circles. So this means that the proposition considers the entire class but denies the overlap of the classes. So in this proposition, no member of the subject class is part of the predicate class. So here the structure would be no S is P. So no cats or dogs. Again, it could sometimes all cats are not mammals. Like that also they would give. So all cats are not mammals. So here no cats or dogs, like this also they will go. So this is the universal negative categorical proposition. Next is particular affirmative. So this means that the proposition has considered a class section, not the entire class, but affirms the overlap of the classes. So in this proposition, few of the members of the subject class are part of the predicate class, like odd or symbol, no? Like two circles, there that would be four circles. Assume that two circles intersecting with each other, either way, any way you can, it might intersect. So here intersection is accepted, that is overlap is accepted, but complete consideration of the class or the entire class is not accepted. So here some S or P. So the some word would be coming here. Some dogs are black. So that is the example. Again, this is the same for the particular negative, because some dogs are not black. That also comes under the particular negative. So particular negative, which is denoted by O. This means that the proposition has considered a class section, again not the entire class, but denies the overlap of the classes. So in this type of proposition, few members of the subject class are considered to be part of the predicate class. It is similar. So just assume the circle part where, so here let me draw something, try to draw, okay. See here, one circle is there, and if I draw another circle over that, so now inner circle is overlapped by the outer circle, that is blue circle is overlapped by the green circle. Now this is known as that universal affirmative, denoted by A. Now the inner circle belongs to the outer circle, or it is consumed by the outer circle. Now as for the universal negative, this is the structure. Both are not intersecting. These two are separate. These two does not, no cats or mammals. Let's consider this is cats, this is the mammals. So no cats are mammals. And as for the particular affirmative, this is the structure. Let me just a minute. So this is the, again, sorry for the diagram here. Here this is the intersection. So the main thing for particular affirmative and particular negative, this is the same diagram. But the thing is, for particular affirmative, here one crossing will be there. No, just a minute. Let me draw something. here one crossing, this part is there, no? So this part is considered as the particular affirmative, whereas for particular negative, these two parts are considered. So same circle, this is the Venn diagram style. So this is how they are considered. So when you are forming a, again go back and remember the syllogism. This is also syllogism. Even next topic also is there. So syllogism, or for the logical reasoning, you have to have form the Venn diagrams. So that's how you will solve the all these things. So now moving on to the next slide. So this is the form, quantifier, subject, copula and predicate. For universal affirmative, all and every is the quantifier. So S is subject, P is the predicate, copula is R. So all S are P, every S are P. That's how the statement would be. And for universal negative, so all, like I said, no, all would be also there, no, none. So all yes, or not, when all comes here for the negative, or not would be. So just a minute. Yes, who is that? Ma'am, class முடிய போகுது.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, நீங்க மியூட் பண்ணுங்க, அட்டெண்ட். So all yes or not P, and as for the other quantifiers, no yes or P, none yes or P. And for particular affirmative, some yes or P, few yes or P. So see here, like I said, no, particular affirmative and negative, both will, everything would be having the same thing. The only difference here would be copula, that is the connecting linking verb. So this is the form and quantifier for understanding. So next comes the categorical syllogism. So syllogism is an argument that consists of compulsorily three statements, such as two premises and one conclusion. So a categorical syllogism consists of three categories, which indeed contains three distinct terms known as the major, minor and middle term. So wherein each term appears in two of the propositions out of the three. So இதை வந்து சிம்பிளா சொன்னா இங்க எக்ஸாம்பிள் கொடுத்திருக்காங்க பாருங்க. All mammals have tails. All dogs are mammals. Therefore, all dogs have tails. So three statements are there here. First is major, middle term and minor, like that, or else something, this could be so mammals is appearing in two statements, tails is appearing in two statements, dogs is appearing in two statements. So here, wherein each term appears in two of the propositions out of the three, that's what they are saying. So premise 1, major premise, middle term, copula, major term. Next minor premise, minor term, copula, middle term. Next comes the minor term, copula, major term. So that is how this is formed. So here the major term is the tails, dog is the minor term, and the middle term is the mammals. So that's how all the three statements, two words are repeated, a single word is repeated in either of the two statements. So in syllogism, the major term appears as a predicate in premise 1 and the predicate in the conclusion as well. The minor term appears as a subject in the premise 2 and a subject in the conclusion as well. Lastly, the middle term appears as a subject in the premise 1 and the predicate in the premise 2. So let's see here, like they have said, dog is the minor term, major term is tails, middle term is. So first let's see, major term appears as a predicate in premise 1. So what is the major term? Tails. Predicate means it will come at the end of the statement. See here, in the premise 1, predicate, the major term is coming as a predicate, and the predicate in the conclusion as well. So see here, in the conclusion it is coming as the predicate. So major term will always comes as a predicate, that's what they are saying here. And then as for the minor term, so what is the minor term here? Dog. So minor term appears as a subject in the premise 2 and subject in the conclusion as well. So subject means it will comes at the first of the sentence. So here subject in the premise 2 and conclusion subject in the conclusion as well. Next comes the middle term. So what is the middle term here? Mammals. So mammals is the subject in premise 1, predicate in the premise 2. So here mammals is the subject in the premise 1 and predicate in the premise 2. So you just remember or memorize this. This is more of a formula. So if you remember this, you can easily solve any kind of such sentences. So the major term in the premise 1, so it is called as the major premise, and the minor term appears in the premise 2, so it is known as minor premise. Both major and minor terms need to be appear in the conclusion. The middle term is not included in this. So in the exam, if the syllogism, see that's this one might not be applicable to us, but there is a possibility this might also happen. So there might be some times where the statements could be jumbled. So if the syllogism is not arranged in the above mentioned sequence, then we need to arrange it in this particular sequence, then attempt the question. So nalla adha purinjikonga. This is the formula. These two are the formula. And if the exam question is not in this pattern, you have to rearrange the question in this pattern, then only you have to solve. So that's how you can solve the categorical syllogism. So these are the bibliography, and then you go through.